have I got a treat for you. Hey, it's Care. Welcome to My Take at the Lake. If you didn't see it, recently I did a flip through of this book called End of an Era, The Last of the Great Lakes Steamboats, the freighters that haul all kinds of things through the Great Lakes. I did a flip through of that and told some stories about my uncle and my husband and my family, who all the men in my family sailed on the boats, except my dad. He drove a school bus. That's as scary to me as being on the boat. Anyway, my uncle showed me this treasure. My uncle was a captain. He's now a retired lakes pilot, meaning he pilots the ships that come in to the Great Lakes from the oceans, because the Great Lakes can be quite treacherous. And so by law, when an ocean freighter comes into the Great Lakes, legally they have to have a Great Lakes pilot on board, because the Great Lakes pilots have been on the Great Lakes forever. They know where the shoals are. They know where the big rocks are. They know where the shipwrecks are. They know where the treacherous places are and how to avoid them. And so a Great Lakes pilot gets on an ocean freighter, guides them through the Great Lakes, and then gets off, and the ocean freighter takes off on its natural course. He just retired in January of this year, although they still have him coming back all the time because he rocks. They can't even think of what's going to be like without him, so they keep having him back, and he goes because he's a good guy. Anyway, he has this fantastic captain's log from the 1970s. I'm just going to give you a quick little, it's 1970 to 1973, and as it should be, it's nice and aged and well worn, just like we like them. But not very many people get to see an actual captain's log from a steam freighter, and this is, again, the 70s, so it is days gone by when everything was handwritten. Everything was logged by hand in order to keep track of all these goodies. Great label in there. Is there a date? I don't see a date there. Main plant. There's a branch in Lansing. So again, April 1970 through August 1973. Lots of aging and authentic grunge here, all that yummy goodness. Some beautiful aging there. So this ledger belonged to a different steamer, the Mitchell, I think it was, the Samuel Mitchell. And somehow or another, it became the EM Fords. And so they put this tape over it. And I'll show you more about that in a minute. They put this tape over it and then just put their name on it. So this belonged to the EM Ford, which has since been scrapped. I don't believe it was too long ago it was scrapped finally, but it was built in the 1800s, I do believe. So first entry, 1970, April 21st. 1:02 p.m. Lifeboat drill. Both boats cleared and swung out. Starboard boat lowered to water, and crew exercised in rowing in presence of Coast Guard inspectors. Moore and Meyer. Drill ended at 1:40 p.m. Fire drill, 1 shot used forward, 2 shots of hose used aft. Port lifeboat weight tested and put into water, and crew exercised in rowing. Drill ended at 10:50 a.m. Signed, Donald McDonald, Master / Captain of the ship. Look at here, all this handwriting. And it's so neat for men, especially. I just think that's fabulous. So 359, 413, 433, 449, 456. Like they wrote every single thing down. This is all from one day, about 1 hour. Lafayette Street, 3rd Street Bridge, D&M Bridge, Coast Guard Station. So they must be putting down what they've passed so people know where they're at or where they went. Full speed. Gyroscopic compass, magnetic compass, wind, weather, log, run, distance off, remarks. So they passed all these things: Bay City Outer Bays, Gravely Shoal, LT, Charity, Taos Point Light, Au Point Buoy, CC, Au Pierhead, Sturgeon Point, CC, Sturgeon Point second time, CC, TBI Light, A-Beam, Alpena Buoy, arrived at dock. Coming home. Trip number 2 to Muskegon. This was trip number 1 to Saginaw. These great old numbers. And it's just loaded with good stuff. But what happened when they put this tape on, many of the pages, the tape somehow or another melted through, or the adhesive somehow got maybe wet, because you can feel the tape through here, but there's several pages now that are stuck together. So I suggested heating it either with an one of those speedy dryers that we use in the craft room. I can't think of what it is, an embossing gun. Or put a towel here and a towel underneath and just a dry iron to reactivate that old adhesive. I'm not sure, in order to get these pages apart. Or he's thinking of maybe cutting them, because you can kind of see there's a shadow there where that piece of tape is. You can see it there, and it's kind of sticking. So somehow or another, separate these pages. Look at this wonderful cursive writing, which left turn. I'm so glad. I've seen stories that some places in California and maybe some other states are bringing back cursive writing lessons in school. It's silly to not teach kids how to read cursive because of these things. This would be a completely foreign language to a 13-year-old. They would have absolutely no idea. This would be like if it's a U.S. kid who's never left the county and he had to read this, it'd be like reading Arabic or German or French. Completely different language. He'd have no idea, or she would have no idea how to read that. Which is frightening, because all of our old documents, and they're finding new old documents all the time. So let's say 40 years from now, no one in the world knows how to read cursive writing, and they find an old handwritten document. They're all going to scratch their heads. Stupid. So I'm so glad that they're bringing it back. I don't know if this, I have more questions now to ask Uncle. He's not with me right now, so I can't pick his brain, but there's water written in red here. I wonder if that means anything. Big Sauble, Little Sauble, Muskegon, check. Turning around, St. Joe Breakwall. Hey there, Sandy. Call out to St. Joe. St. Joe Breakwall. Let's see, 1970, May 11th at 10:47 a.m. Started unloading at 11:50, finished at 2:15. Departed dock. Depart, turning, begin, maybe? St. Joe Breakwall, South Haven, Muskegon Breakwall, White Lake, Little Sauble Light, Big Sauble, Point Betsy, so they're just going back the way they came. So awesome to see this. Oh, there's more pages stuck together. And they did fireboat drills, almost all, it looks like constantly they were doing their fireboat drills. which is awesome. You gotta keep on that stuff. Steering gear, whistle, telephones. Sorry, let's try this again. Steering gear, telephones, whistles, Chadburns, all tested and found to be in good condition. All ports and gangways closed and dogged. I asked him, by the way, about that typewriter, and I can show you a picture of that. I will show you that typewriter. This is from the ship's office on the ST Crapo. Here's typewriter. Obviously, it looks white, but I thought maybe, just maybe, it's the same typewriter, because the one Uncle has is green, and he said, nope, that was from the EM Ford. There's two Fords, EM Ford and JB Ford. I think it was from the EM Ford. I'll show you that here. Holy smokes, there's something seriously wrong with my memory. I would have bet money I can't afford to lose that this beautiful vintage typewriter was green, unless he has two, because I swear that other one was more of a 70s style green, newer than this. He might have two, but I can't find the other one just right now, and the other one was sitting on the floor. So I think this is a different one, and I'll bet this is from one of the old boats from way back when as well, when they started doing things on computer versus typing them. Isn't it beautiful? It is a silent secretarial from Smith Corona. Perfectly kept, of course. There's a little bit of dust and dirt on it, but she's old. Of course she's gonna be dusty and dirty, and a little bit of paint transfer where she got dinged on something. But isn't that wonderful? Beautiful. I'll have to find out the mystery of the green typewriter, because I know that one in the picture is white. I would not have assumed that this black one was that white one, but I would have assumed that green one was the white one. We are looking at the book from the EM Ford. And I want to show you a specific page because it's just awesome. I think I have my dates right. If not, I'm really close. Again, we're still in 1970. Trip number 24 in this book of the EM Ford. August 15th was the first day. I'm pretty sure Uncle said August 15th, 1970 was the first day he stepped on a freighter as an employee. He was 16, 1970. So I'm not sure if I have my dates right, but right around this time was the first date, and it's in here somewhere if this isn't right. I think he said it was August 15th was the first time he ever stepped foot on the boat as an employee of the EM40. He was 18. He may have worked summers when he was 16 and 17, but I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he's been on the boat since he was 16, but if I do this math, he's 18 when he's an employee. Here's another red water plus 28. I'll have to ask and see what that means and see if I can just flash it up on the screen as a side note as to what that means. Water plus 26. Arrived at dock, started unloading, finished unloading, departed dock. And they were going to St. Joe and Waukegan. Anyway, what a phenomenal, super cool, beautiful ledger. We've seen ledgers of funeral homes before, which is very interesting, and we've seen mercantile ledgers, but I don't think anyone here has seen a captain's log ledger. It's not from the 1800s, but it sure looks like it. And the boats that they're on are from the 1800s, so that's got to count for something, right? Vintage, very cool. Not very many captain's notes except for these stamps where everything had been tested and checked. Safety, safety, safety. I did learn from Uncle Steve that before the Edmund Fitzgerald sunk, they did not have survival suits for the guys, and now they have what's called survival suits. And I'm not even sure exactly what a survival suit entails. I would imagine it's something that would protect them from hypothermia because the waters are so cold on the Great Lakes. I would imagine it would have a personal flotation device and a whistle, maybe a flare. I don't know exactly, but that didn't happen until the Fitz went down, which is so sad. You know, why do we have to? But yeah, I just didn't think about it. We got rowboats. We got lifeboats. Who needs personal flotation devices? Not that it would have saved anyone on the Fitz. The Fitz went down and took everyone with her. There was no surviving that. But at least now they have a little bit more of a chance. And I asked him now, because up in the pilot house, now, you know, the lingo's all coming back after all these years for me. Up in the pilot house here, you can see how it's all antiquated, analog. These boats were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and so everything was done the old-fashioned way. But now, of course, boats all have GPS devices and computer stuff on board, and so they're all doing what the rest of us are doing, using our smart devices for everything. It's all computer aided and assisted and all computerized now. Even though it still looks like this, there's computer stuff added. And for some reason, it is all full. I was going to say they didn't fill up the book, but they did fill up the book. The whole thing is filled to the brim. GLLL, Great Lakes, something I. Draft, trip number 31 to Saginaw. Start loading, finish loading from 4:53 to 8:23. It took them under 4 hours to load, depart dock. Alpena can, so they were loading at home and they were heading out. Traffic buoy, South Point, Sturgeon Point. We have a Sturgeon Point here too, which is another reason, Susan, why this sturgeon was so familiar. She mentioned Sturgeon Bay, Sturgeon something, and I said, oh yeah, the boats lay up there. I mean, I remembered right away, but it just seemed like there was more, and the boats lay up there. But we also have a Sturgeon Point right near our town, so duh. That was a fun conversation with my uncle the other day. Bay City outer buoys, check vessel outbound, stop engine, front range left, perhaps? LT, front range light. I don't know. Can't presume to assume. A lot of the handwriting looks like my grandmother's handwriting, which would make sense because they all had to learn the same way. It had to look exactly like everybody else's, although the writing is very different between the captain and the other people working, and that's pretty snazzy writing compared to that one, whoever wrote that. I-75 Bridge, Lafayette Bridge, Penn Control, Penn Central, Belinda Bridge. They did not fill up this book. They only have a couple pages left because maybe a load or two would be too many for the pages, and they didn't want to have one load stop in one book and start in another. Maybe, I don't know. That brings us to the end of this beautiful, nice big ledger, authentically aged. 1.2, crib notes, 1.2 miles canned to slab dock. Leo's house, 3 points. I can't read that. I can't read what that says. 3 points, no clue. And the back of it's pretty plain, but nice and aged. What a treasure. What a treasure. I'd like to say, I'm gonna put a picture here and a link. I was listening to Janet Nash talk about her grandmother's copy of that I believe it's Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol from the 1800s, and it's falling apart. And I just happened to have seen, or YouTube just happened to send me, how to repair your books. A fabulous little segment about a professional book repairer who takes damaged goods and puts them back to their original. She doesn't just fix them, she puts them as close to the original as what they were when they first were published. And fascinating stuff. She washes pages and she takes the spine apart, and so many really, really cool things that she does in order to get books back to their natural, wonderful state. But she also has a free workshop. I will put the links below. So if you have something old and wonderful that you want to restore somehow or repair somehow and do the best you can without hiring a professional, which there are professionals. We have at least one here in town that I know of who does this for a living. Call your local library. They know who restores vintage books. But if you want to try what you can at home, I'm going to link this workshop below. Again, it's free. Why not? We can all learn. It's so much fun to learn stuff. So I'll link that below. I hope you enjoyed this little trip down vintage lane with me. I'm sure I'll have more of this as I talk more and more to my uncle about his days on the boats, and you'll probably be hearing more about this. I'll find out about those red water things, what that means. Was it rough seas? Was it water coming over the rail? What was it? Because now I want to know. It had to mean something if it was in red, right? It had to mean something. You have a lovely, lovely crafty day. Go love up your beastlies. Give them lots of extra treats today, because today and every day is Happy Pet Day. Mate at the lake. Out for now.